Hello, everyone. Hey, there I am. How's it going, everyone? We doing all right? Happy Thursday. Yeah, there we go. I know what day it is. Hello, hello. The fox has arrived. Your daily dose of foxing is here. Don't like that one, actually. Don't like the phrasing of that one. How are we all doing today? We doing all right? Yeah. Hope we're all having a chill one. Hope you're having a lovely, lovely time. Bless you. Hope we're doing okay. Hi, Froggo. Hi, Fabri. Hi, Muko. You'll be lurking? That's more than alright. Oh my god, you should get the game. It's honestly so good. This is the problem, right? I love playing these games and I need to recommend them to people, but I can't recommend them too much or else you'll not watch me play it. Like I got moots playing like the Yakuza games and I'm going through them myself. I can't watch them. I have to like give them my love and then like lurk and mute it and like alt tab out. Do from the yeah, well that's also a thing, right? I want to share it with y'all because it's like actually really, really fun and really great. Oh, how are we? Anyway, what we've been getting up to today, lads? What we've been getting up to? I have had a lovely time fixing bugs. Open Freddy is carrying on. I got a great bit of feedback and suggestions in the Discord yesterday following the coding stream. I say it was a coding stream. It was more like I was coding while like a swarm of like chatters were like flying overhead. We didn't get anything. His body's still supersonic. Apparently that's just how he works. I had to check the actual code and that is just how he works actually. So no bug. Working as intended. No fucking clue how. But there we go. That's how he works. Yeah, no, it's going full steam ahead. So yeah, that's kind of been my day. Oh god, the weather's been absolutely horrible though. The weather's just been terrible out here. Not a fan. Don't like it whatsoever. Um, should we get started? Should we crack on? Hold on, let me make sure, like, I'm not gonna transition to, like, an absolutely broken screw. Not enough rain. Oh, come. It's southwest is where you need to be. There's fucking rain aplenty around here. It's terrible. It's honestly so bad around here. I was quite nice as well. I have so much washing that needs to be dry. Got hot air here? Damn. Yeah, I'm getting none of that. Can you bring some of that down here with me? I actually really appreciate that. I'll take it. I'll take it, Fabri. I'll take it from you. Don't worry. Don't worry. Trade. Trade offer. You give me the nice warm air and I'll give you the rain and cold. God, it's been freezing. Ah. That was me putting on my lip seal, by the way. Alright. There's the game. We need audio for that game, don't we? We need a little bit of audio. Hold on. Boom. There we go. Now I need to hear it as well. A little bit of piano. There we go. Ah, the music in this game is actually really great. Hello, Diana. It's been fucking ages since we played this. I'm gonna need to remember how to play it. I'm gonna be honest. It's been like a very long time. Let's get started. I want to crack on. It's been so long. I just want to get right to it. Get on down with it. Let's go. Oh my god, I forgot I put her in that outfit. Hi, Diana.
Luna diggers are really scary. I get all tense when they pop out.
We're not gonna have to deal with Luna diggers again, are we?
Things in such a tight spot. We got lucky with that side tunnel.
Where were we last? We were
Luna diggers made that.
We were like outside, weren't we?
Can't live with them, can't live without them.
Anyway, should we play a little bit of hide and seek? The creature. She looks very much like a creature in that outfit. I have been spoiled, chat, with some of the other outfits that Diana has, and honestly, I think I might aim for them. I think... Okay, she's around here somewhere. I'm trying to use the audio to, like, pinpoint her. If I fail this, I'm gonna be very depressed. Oh no, she's just behind the TV. Oh, I hate when she gets behind the TV. There it is. There it is. Hi, hello. Yeah, I've been spoiled by some of the outfits. I don't know. I haven't been spoiled by the story. Blinders on. No idea. Oh, give your cat to me then.
Yeah.
I'll take care of it. I'll take care of him. What have you found, Diana? Oh, it's all your
The
flower
flowers
crowns.
still okay?
All your
Most
flower
of the
crowns.
pterodome would probably all be wilted by now.
The lunar filament
Get
cells are
feline.
alone.
Exactly.
It wouldn't stand a chance growing in the shelter. Turned out great.
Okay, so a few of those words were incorrect, Octo, but I respect the spirit. I respect the spirit. Welcome in. Hope you've been having a great Thursday, Octo. How you been? You been alright? I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Wait, where did Diana go? Oh. Oh. Oh, is that a butterfly? Get him. Get him. Hell yeah. Boku no Natsuyasumi 1999. Come on. Get it. God, you're really bad at this. Oh. Don't worry about that. That's what. Figure out what I was meant to... How I went to sleep yesterday at 6 p.m. and woke up before... Goodness me. How did you do that? There we go. Hands have a little bit of a fun time around here, don't they? Do I need to upgrade anything? Goodness me, that is quite the sleep schedule you got there, Octo, I gotta be honest. I'm doing not too bad on my sleep schedule, thankfully, but like a power nap, yeah, basically. I don't know how I'm doing it, but I am managing to maintain quite a good sleep schedule right now. Which is rare. That's very rare for me. Rope bombs? Oh yeah, some of these I just haven't upgraded because I just don't use. Oh, I should use the impact barrier a bit more though, shouldn't I? It's like quite useful and stuff, isn't it? I should probably upgrade that. Yeah, let's upgrade that one, and then we'll crack on. I think that's what we'll do. My body's a machine that turns a 3 a.m. to 10 a.m. sleep into an 11 p.m. 5 a.m. sleep. Oh boy. I actually have been waking up at like around 6 a.m. right now. You gotta lock it. I know what that's like. To be honest, my uni days were basically just like going to sleep at like 3 a.m. and waking up at like 11. I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah, let's upgrade that. Oh, Froggo. I believe. Do the best you can. That's all you can do, really. That's all you can do, really. Do we need any of these? Nah, I'll be alright. I know you don't believe it now, but it'll be alright. It'll be alright. It'll be alright. Trust me, as someone who barely got through it, you'll be alright. How many stamps have I got? Oh, I've got quite a few, actually. Hyperfocus. Quick. None of these are outfits. I want outfits. Bet you that's... Had to be. Bless. All of y'all in the university minds is like... I feel for you. I feel for you. All of these are boring. I want an outfit. Boo. Alright. Which one of these is an outfit, chat? What do you think? What do you think? I think that one. I think that one's an outfit. Okay.
Well done.
You got a sweater emote? Oh, I did a line. Brilliant. Hell yeah. I was not paying attention. Oh, bless. B is truly in the mines. I was once there, chat. I was there during fucking lockdown as well, so, you know. It was pretty rough. Not fun. Not fun whatsoever. Sticky bombs and a riot blaster. Fine. Star speed. Yeah, that'll be fine. Let's go freeze. Let's do expose. Let's do, decode? Or multi-hack? Let's do multi-hack. I'd say that one. Weird. Yeah, sure. I honestly, chat, it's been so fucking long, I don't remember what I'm doing. So I just jump, I'm just gonna jump right in. Let's go, let's go. Oh, I'm like right at the end. Oh, I've left out a boss fight, haven't I? Oh, chat, what have I done? I stopped playing at a boss fight, haven't I? Oh, I bet I have. Oh, I bet I have. Oh, enjoy that. Oh, enjoy that nap, Octo. Enjoy that nap. You deserve it. Oh, I've totally started before a boss fight, chat. What have I done? Oh, I'm fucked. I'm grade A fucked, ain't I? Yeah, that's gonna be great. That's gonna be me being like, oh, how do I play this game again? Oh, it's gonna be against the thingy, innit? Oh, it's gonna be against the thingy.
Edis's mainframe's close.
All right.
Oh, goodness me. Okay, well, here we go. Straight in we go. Okay, I've got overdrive, so I've got that going for me. So this might be alright. We might be fine.
Up there.
Yo!
We made it.
Unregistered guests, this is your final warning. Continued presence in this area may result in physical harm and/or death.
Oh dear.
Please withdraw immediately.
I'm calling it. You'd make a lousy friend.
Oh, Hugh. There's no need for that.
Not again. Earned our way. Yeah. Sorry.
Space worm. We're against the space worm. Space robot worm thing.
Look, it's our old friend, Mr. Worm.
Oh my god.
Can't run away this time.
I remember how to play this game.
Time to bury this thing for good.
Oh, can you not? Ah, damn it. It ran out. There are bombs inside your house, and they are coming in.
No. Overdrive protocol. On stem.
Let me try that one, actually. That's, like, not good. We're on, like, the last pillar. That's not good, is it? They're gonna... Hello.
Wide open. Shoot it.
Oh, it's mouth. Oh, god, I bet it's mouth. Oh, fucking hell. Okay. I feel like I'm in a precarious position here, chat. Oh, it's the beam. Beam! Oh, I'm in that beam. Oh, fuck! Oh, that's bad. Oh, that's bad. That's bad, actually. I shouldn't be here, should I? That's bad. Oh, don't mind if I freaking do.
Blinking the enemy.
Okay. Oh, that's doing some damage. There we go. There. Okay. Okay, that's less good. How's the audio, by the way? I'm moving. Okay, that's doing some damage. Okay, but now I need to run. Oh, hell yeah. Okay. Wait. Oh, can I use these? Oh, there we go. Yippee! Okay. I am starting to run out of weapons, I will say that. But, you know, that's alright. Okay, there we go. And achoo! Oi. Oh, 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 oh! Take it! Achoo! It's kind of annoying it's the same animation every time. It's kind of annoying, but, you know. That's the way it is. I'm looking out, I'm looking out. Yay, 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 yay. Now is not the chance. Ow! Diana was like, yeah, go for it. Not quite. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Alright, alright, okay, okay. Okay, big guy. Okay, okay. Oh, there's another gun. I want that. Oh! Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, fucking hell. God, you really have to concentrate with that. Oh my god. I just want that gun. I just want this gun, alright? I just want it. Oh, fucking hell. Oh, it's the same pattern. That's okay, that's okay, that's okay. Oh my goodness me.
Thanks to you.
What? Fucking hell. No, you don't. No, you don't. Oh, shoot. Oh, fucking hell. Saw that. Saw that. Saw that. Saw that. Didn't see that. Didn't see that. Didn't see that. That way, that way, that way, that way. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Go, 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 go. Chwee! Kablamo! Ah, it's a long time since I said no guns, am I right? Oh! Wait, what? Oh no. What does that mean? He runs so casually, he's just so chill. Just on a bit of a stroll, ain't he? What? Oh, goodness me. Oh, what? Oh, that's... Try hacking them. Oh. Oh, hell yeah. Okay, we can hack them. Okay, cool. There we go. Oh, goodness me. Okay. Okay. Did that work? Hey, there we go. I don't feel wide open for attack if it takes like this long. Oh, no, I don't care about that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't do that. I really would appreciate it if you didn't do that. Or that. Or that. Or that. Run. Run. Oh, God. It's still going. This worm is mean. I don't like it. Ah! Stop it! Oh god, I've run out of my thingy. Alright, I need that one. Oh, fuck. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. It's really not wide open for attack. Oh, there we go. Where are you? Where are you? No, you don't. No, you don't. There you go. I'm dodging the bots. Very much not paying attention. Oh my god, we're so close to this actually. Oh, we're not gonna do much with that, are we? Worm. Get that worm. Also, hi Fabri, how you doing? It's yeah, oh I guess its head is out. Oh shit, I'm so sorry. Oh, that's not gonna do anything, is it? Oh, oh no, it did something. Yeah, let's go! Yippee! Yippee! We did it! Hell yeah! What did I say? What did I say? Straight into a boss fight. Haven't played this in 3 weeks. We got it.
Hell yeah!
No, don't teach Diana to swear. What the fuck was that? Oh, one of my homing missiles. That's really funny. Bit late to the party, guy. Ooh, hell yeah. We did it! You know, I feel like I could have just done that on Sunday. It would have saved us a lot of time. Are we gonna meet Edith? Reboot Edith. Oh, that's what we're doing. I did forget what the plot was about, not gonna lie. That's fine, don't worry about it. Plot schlot. Let's go. He does move really slowly in space. A lot of explosions in space, though. I don't think that's accurate. Something, yeah. All that matters is Diana. That doesn't look good. Are these people? Are those people?
This place. What's with these bodies?
Oh god.
This black stuff got them.
Oh.
Hell.
Oh yeah. A little goop. There's like goop and stuff. I forgot about that. They kind of introduced it and then they didn't do anything with it for like a while. That's no good. Go, go, go!
Entrance to this area is prohibited. Voluntary withdrawal is recommended.
I got your
Wow.
withdrawal right here. Time to stick my boot up your holographic ass.
Ew!
Subject has declined to evacuate.
There's children present. You can't say that, dude. Oh, that's bad. No, no! That sounds like a fun thing to scream. Not gonna lie. Yes! Oh my god, go! Go with your little feet. Go! Sci-fi stuff. Let's go! Yeah, don't touch the phone. This is giving such Mass Effect vibes, not gonna lie. Oh, it actually stopped. Nice. Hell yeah.
Diana.
Hey, Hugh.
That was incredible.
She's turning the DLSS 5 off. Turning off path tracing.
Initiating command code E9900.
Oh, well, they rebooted.
Administrative privileges to 8 restored.
I like that it had a
Resume
BIOS.
transfer of dead filament to the central port.
There, runs off Linux. Everything runs off Linux these
Thank
days.
you for your cooperation.
What is all this?
Nice one,
But
Froggo.
we stopped it, right?
Was it built to do it? Was it built to be bad?
Thank you for your cooperation.
Oh!
What are you doing here?
Oh my god, it's fucking 8, isn't it?
What is all that?
Or is that a different Pragmata? Oh, oh. Oh fuck! Oh! Oh no! Oh no!
You've completely ruined her.
What? my god! No! No, 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 no!
I truly needed your assistance. But I must complete my objective.
What?
To
No!
spread dead filament across the earth.
Oh my fucking god!
Why? I thought you'd understand.
Oh, that's bad. Oh, that's bad. Oh no.
What a waste.
Oh, she's so fucking grounded. Nothing but broccoli. Oh no. Did you see that? Diana's leg was sheared the clean off. Oh no. Oh no. Is she alright? Oh, she doesn't look alright, chat. Oh no. Oh no.
Why?
No. No.
Let's head back. We need to regroup.
Oh my god. No. That's genuinely upset me. Oh my gosh, no!
Alert. Emergency
Oh no, we're carrying her now!
from
Oh shit!
Initiate
Ah, she's in 6-7. Not even that can make me happy. Over the fact they said the funny number. Garen, Garen, Garen! Get her in! Dude!
Guidance mode activated.
Help!
Please proceed to the special tram
Where-
right over there.
Ooh, a special tram.
Tram? It's not gonna take us.
Special tram?
Pragmatics.
Shout out to a special tram. Oh god, it's all like turned off. Oh god, and you can see all this stuff. Oh, like the TV and stuff. Can we get a pog in chat for a special tram? Let's go, special tram.
What the heck? Has this tram always been here?
Woohoo, special tram. Traveling in Edinburgh be like, oh god, why are we doing this? Can we use the last loadout? Because I was actually quite alright with that. Alright, where's the tram? Pragmatic site platform. You have to repair, like, Wally. We have to fix our, like, Freddy Fazbear and, security breach. Why so? I haven't watched Wally in fucking ages. Oh, god, she's... Her arm is just completely gone. Oh, goodness me. Are we gonna learn more about the Pragmatas, do you think?
Damn it. I like this.
Not like this! Oh no!
DI-03367 confirmed.
Did the thing again. I'm trying not to laugh at all the times they say, oh my god, save Diana. I can't do anything but... Okay, go in, go in, go in. Oh god!
Alright.
Why would she do this?
Oh!
We're supposed to be the same, but I don't understand her at all.
Oh,
Hey, don't worry about that.
yeah, don't worry. It'll be cool. It's all good. Oh, that looks real bad, doesn't it? That looks real bad. I guess it's gonna, like, build up using the filament. Yay, there we go. Oh, shit. Oh, that's cool. Oh, I thought it was... Oh, that's really cool.
What now?
Oh, no, no, we are... It is gonna be like a fucking... We're gonna have to hold the fort, aren't we?
Do this.
Oh no, she corrupted.
Am I all better?
Not yet.
She's like
Get that
corrupted.
junk out of you and get you back on your feet.
Oh
Right
no.
here.
I'm coming with you.
You can't. Not like that. You need to rest.
You? I'm going.
Oh. Go on, Hugh. Go on, Hugh. 3D printer operating on 16 AA batteries.
Let's move. Now let's go get you that reactor.
Oh, goodness me. It's not looking well. Oh, I don't want a decoy. We'll take that one, though. Hello. Hello, Aku. You doing alright? Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. I hope you're having a great time. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. We're just having a little bit of a fun, a little bit of a chill time here, playing a bit more Pragmata.
Stay with me.
All good. Hope you're having a great Thursday. Hell yeah.
You know you could have stayed behind.
You're okay without me?
No!
It's just
What's the matter with
Don't
this
overdo
Prag?
it. All right.
That's a great joke. I like that one. I like that one. Frago, pin that one. I have learned from my great mute, Smokey, that any dumb jokes you get, you pin. Fight for some stupid puns, please. Ow! Oh no! What? I was not paying attention, I was reading chat. Now if you're when hacking, passing these notes to disable your hacking controls and drain your— Oh god, okay.
Protecting my hat.
You all right?
That's not good. Okay, so there's purple things. I just want to talk to it. Yeah, I know. Oh no, we were talking in the Discord about how cool the color purple is, and now it's all bad. Purple. I saw Cracky in the title. Yeah, we're cracking on. We're cracking on with some more Pragmata. Follow later, charge chocolate. I'll keep this one for now. You're bad, aren't you? You're a wrong one. Oh, bad. That way, that. Oh god, there's another one! I just remembered where the dodge button is in time. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. No. There you go. There we go. Alright, there we go.
Settled down at all?
Purple is cool, but have you considered sky blue? I like sky blue. I haven't seen it in ages. It's so fucking cloudy around here. A little bit of sky blue. Why is it anytime we play Pragmata we rate colors? I swear we had this on Saturday. I should have done a tier list of
No
colors.
worries.
Ah.
We just gotta push through.
Oh, ew. Alright. Colorless tier. Yeah, I know. Maybe we should do that at some point. Touching dead filament interferes with Diana's hacking ability. Hacking will become more difficult as more purple corrupt nodes fill a hacking matrix. Okay. Oh, oh god. Oh, Jesus. Can you not? Dude. Do they get stuck as well in the goop? It does not look like they get stuck in the goop. I don't think they get stuck in the goop, chat. Oh shit. Okay, that was another purple. Oh, it's the Super Mario Sunshine goo. Oh my god, yeah. I'm gonna be honest, chat. I actually haven't. I've played Super Mario Sunshine, but I actually haven't finished it.
Looks like it.
Oh, her voice is getting a little bit more, like, robotic. Oh no. This is really sad. I don't like this, chat. Ooh. Oh, this is bad. This is bad. There you go. Ow. Okay, I'm really bad at this. Can I just do this? Yeah, I can. Okay, cool. I'll just do that. There we go. Hello, 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 hello! Shy Mango! Welcome in, welcome in! How are we doing? Shy Mango, what's your favorite color? Have you already said that in chat and I'm failing to read? Sunshine is great to play, great game to play, but it's hell to 100%. I might not 100% it. I didn't 100% Odyssey. And there was no chance I was gonna 100%. Oh!
Work on the Pragmata prototype is now complete.
Oh!
It will be a fine replacement for Daisy in the clinical trials ahead.
Her projector's broken.
Hey,
Oh.
that was you. Then that was Dr.
That was Dr. Higgins.
Yeah. That's right.
Oh, her voice is getting all, like, scrambled up. Oh no. How far into the game are we? I think we're about a good, like, halfway through. They're going to see. No, we're past halfway. I know that. So we might be coming near the end. Feels like we're near reaching the end of the story. So yeah, like, spoilers ahead, I guess. Being thrown into the pit.
To give us clear, actionable data to cure Daisy. That is your most important purpose.
Oh, shit.
The doctor spent years researching rare diseases.
Is it all coming back to you?
Yeah. I've just finished processing the memory data from 8.
Oh no. Oh, say, so the doctor was like trying to like cure his daughter and made a whole bunch of other daughters in the process. Classic. Classic. Oh, I love this environment. This is really cool. Oh. Clink, 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 clink. Oh, I forgot to charge my laptop. Oh no!
The doctor,
Maria Robotnik all over it. It kind of is like that, isn't it?
I failed in my
Oh, Sonic 3 was a fucking great movie, wasn't it, chat?
I wasn't
Such a
good
fucking
enough.
good movie. Watched it in the cinemas like 3 times. Oh dear.
Incoming.
Hello. I'm just gonna do that. Ow! Ow! Oh, fucking hell! Oh, this is bad. This is bad.
Yeah, let's do this.
Oh! Oh, this is bad. Oh, shoot. Come on. Oh. They're really not, like, breaking apart, are they? Stop it. Stop it. There you go. No, not that. Oh, for fuck's sake. There we go. Alright, now you. Come here. I just have to run. There you go. Can I target? There we go. Oh, I'm so sorry, Diana. I'm so sorry. There we go.
What's that?
Guys, do you think a phone charger is enough for a laptop? Both are USB-C. It depends. If it's like a big old boy with a USB-C, like it's got a little bit of a brick or like it's quite large, then probably. If it's a fast charger, like if it fast charges your phone, then it will probably charge your laptop fine. That's my experience, at least. Oh yeah, look for the wattage as well. If you want like an actual number. If you don't want to like fucking vague it like I was gonna. W for Wumbo. M for Mambo. Mambo. Yo! Thank you so much, Soy, for the follow. I really appreciate that. Hope you appreciate my... Oh, Christ. Oh dear, that's bad. That's bad. That's bad. Thank you so much for the follow. There's no W's. Feels like my gameplay right now. Anytime I play Counter-Strike. Anyway, everyone give love to the new follow, because I am so busy with this right now. I'm concentrating so fucking hard. Does this got me there? Yeah, there we go. There we go. Oh, wait. Oh, there we go.
This stuff is bad for Diana.
This stuff is bad for Diana indeed, mate. Oh, come on. These are so fucking difficult to get down. Also, the notifications are a bit off screen. Oh, okay. I had to refresh them, because as you know, they were broken last stream. Hey, there we go. Saving my Yorbs. Let me take a look at the, let me take a look at those. Let me fix that. Main. Alerts. Oh, goodness me, yeah, they're far off the fucking screen, aren't they? What are they doing over there? What are you doing? Alerts? Why are you there? Weird. Okay, there we go. There we go, they should be in the right place now. Someone, do a thing. I don't know. You don't have to do a thing. You are not entitled to do a thing. Let's keep with an impact. I should use the impact barrier more often, shouldn't I? Then again, it's telling me to do a... Someone call someone.
You okay back there? Don't overdo it.
If it's USB-C, it will probably not set fire to anything. Don't quote me on that, but I think it should be fine. Ow! Mate! Dude! Do you freaking mind? Not nice. Oh, I'll pick that one up. Oh, hello.
Let's do this.
Oh dear. He says get fucked, doesn't he? He says get fucked. We all hear that, don't we? He says get fucked.
Be careful.
Whoa. Rope. Bombs. It's yours, my friend, as long as you have the homing missiles. Take that. Oh, damn it. I want to get that. There you go. Oh, this sounds bad. Oh, there you go. These guys are just so freaking... Did that do it? What did that do? Huh, nothing. Ow! Ow, 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 ow. Okay, there we go. And... Achoo! There we go! B! Hello, B! How's it going? You doing alright? How are you? You holding up fine with your work? Hope it's going alright, B. Oh, I feel for you. Hope it's going alright. Am I orange? That's a weird mix of colors. Wait, what's going on? I was focusing. I was locking in. What's going on? I should really go. Ah, be Teto. Sometimes it's good to be Teto. We like Teto around here. Oh, did somebody do a redeem? Finally starting to implement changes. Awesome, awesome. The little SketchUps that you've done look really good. I think that'll really work. I think that'll look amazing. Gotta fight Niagara though. Oh fucking hell.
Pretty
I hate Niagara.
response for a Pragmata
I know some VFX like artists, and goodness me, the things that they're able to do, absolutely crazy. Yeah, try not to. Try not to. I know it's an absolute faff, and I know it's really easy to get burned out on these things, but like, pace yourselves, have a walk every so often. You'll be alright. You'll be alright, B. And please do DM me if you have any, like, if there's any Unreal problems you got. We got you. We got you.
Daisy.
Oh, you're all picking a different color. Oh, a chat color. Nice.
I'm sorry.
Oh no!
I can't spend it with you. Once
Oh.
you're better. I'm done. No more research. I'm coming home. We're so close. Just hang on. A little longer.
So they were living apart.
He had
Aww.
to be here on the move for his research.
Oh my god, Pragmata is amazing. I really fucking I didn't expect it to be a Souls-like. That's the thing. I didn't expect it to be a Souls-like, but like the combat is really good and like really challenging too. I really like it. Door, thank you.
All that work.
I really like it.
It was all for Daisy.
It's a Souls-like.
Research.
You like backtrack on yourself, you upgrade parts, and then like you discover different areas. There's a hub space. It's a Souls-like. It's a very loose Souls-like, but it's basically a Souls-like. I get the feeling that it started off more Souls-like, and then they sort of like went away from it as the development progressed. But like that's just the feeling that I'm getting, I should say. But yeah, no, it's really fun, and all the scenes with Diana are amazing. It is truly a far dad simulator.
Another incompatibility.
Oh no.
Another failure. The results are always the
Dude.
same. The Pragmata fails to adapt to the mutation. There is no time for this. Forget about 7. We must find another way.
Bro hates 7. So if Pragmatas are like things to like ooh. Test Android Pragmata. Although Luna filament printed artificial, oh, it's all about 3D printing as well. I think it's like all about 3D printing. It's all about AI. It's pretty fun. Although Luna filament printed artificial organs remain unsuitable for direct transplantation into living humans, their integration into a synthetic host controlled by an AI calibrated to a patient's psychological and physiological profile enables remarkably faithful replication of human biological conditions. Consequently, mock clinical trial datasets utilizing Luna filament formulations, goodness me, this is a fucking word salad, can now be generated with a level of accuracy approaching that of genuine human trials. The inaugural subject profile selected for this study will be my daughter Daisy, because poor man has an absolute fucking hang-up. Poor man is not doing well. He's not doing okay. For clarity of record, the android constructed for this purpose shall henceforth be designated Pragmata. Okay. Oh no! Oh no! Thanks for the Christmas card. I miss you. I know you're working hard to make you feel better. I'll keep taking my medicine and be brave for all the tests so you can come home sooner, Daisy. Oh no! Oh no! Oh dear. Oh, she's so dead. Daisy, I'm so sorry. You are very ill and very dead. I've played Sonic Adventure 2.
Compatibility?
Yeah.
Oh!
I didn't do what he wanted. I
Oh!
had no purpose.
No! Oh! Little Teddy. Sonic Adventure 2 is great. I fucking love Sonic Adventure 2. Killer game. Hell yeah. No, it's so good. It's so good. Oh my god, I was trying to think about what my favorite Sonic game was the other day, and I genuinely couldn't think of what it could be. Like, I love Sonic Adventure 2, but I really love Sonic Adventure 1 for how, like, quirky and weird it is. I love it. Yeah, don't abbreviate that. If you put a 2 by the end of it, people understand what you're talking about, but, like, I wouldn't recommend it. 2 Dark Teens from Jacob. Sorry to disturb you so late. I need to inform you of something urgent. We've received word that your daughter's condition on Earth has suddenly worsened. A private tram. Ooh, another tram. Hell yeah. Be prepared. Please come to the Cradle General Affairs right away. Oh, goodness me. Sonic Adventure 2 is the only Sonic game you've played. Oh my goodness me. Well, you started on peak, so that's something at least. Due to capacity for degraded lunafilament removal, accurate test data could not be obtained. Additionally, the use of a younger model than the target patient provocative to its exclusion. Oh, that's 7, and then that's 8. Okay, so 8 is like the bad one. Yo, Mura! Thank you so much for the raid! Hello, hello, hello! Hello? How's it going? Oh my goodness, how you been? How was your stream? Ah, welcome on in, everybody. I hope you're doing alright. We're just playing a bit of Pragmata, having a lovely little evening. You know, enjoying our time. You can have my manager. Froggo's back. We have 100% Froggo concentration. Ah. Nice. How are you doing? If you need to head off, by the way, go right ahead. I know you gotta wind down after stream. So if you need to, go right ahead. No problem here. But yeah, welcome on in, everyone. Oh, everyone probably knows who I am, but anyway, we'll say it anyway. Hello, I'm Ogyon. I make video games. I'm a retro 3D VTuber. That's me. I'm so good. I'm so good at this introduction stuff. 3 weeks in for this debut. Absolutely crushing it. Hello, Mango. How's it going? How we all doing? We all doing alright? Having a great Thursday? Having a little bit of a wind down, of a bit of a chill? Hello, everybody. Markiplier. How are you doing? Ah, man. Great to have you all here. Great to have you all here. Man. I want to talk about Dead Kids. Because you really came at a really great time. We're reaching... My intro leak really came to me after a year. Okay, I'm feeling great. Okay, I'm doing great. Okay, I'm glad. Oh my goodness, I know so many people who've got that down pat. Like, oh my god, whenever I raid someone, I raided 2 yesterday. And oh my goodness me. I really hope the people who came from my stream and went to that were like, oh, so this is what a professional VTuber sounds like. No, you're gonna be great, you're gonna be amazing. You're already streaming, you'll be fine. You'll be absolutely fine. You'll be alright. No, Star's winding down. Star's having chill time. Oh, if you do need to go back to it, Star, that's absolutely fine. I'm giving you all my energy. All the energy. That was me giving you all the energy. Hope you like that. Anyway, why did 8 fail? Patient profile approximately an 8-year-old. The malfunction observed in 7 was eliminated, and a new feature was implemented to concentrate degraded lunafilament. Oh, okay. You didn't need to get back to it. Oh my goodness me. That's okay. Best of luck. Best of luck, B. You got this. You got this. You got this. Hell yeah. 8 overview. In organisms given a lunafilament compound, a byproduct thought to be degraded form of lunafilament appears during metabolism. 7 had the built-in feature expunge degraded lunafilament, but this prevented accurate... whoa! Got pixelated. Hell yeah. trial data since elimination is impossible in the human body. To address this failure in the previous model, 8 was instead equipped with a function to gather degraded lunar filament in one place. First, the priority is to refine the lunar filament compound itself and find a way to expel or extract the amassed degraded lunar filament. We have preliminary data that that would likely build in the kidneys. Oh, okay, so like 8 can like get all the corrupted goop and stuff and like concentrate it from there. Oh, that was how
So this is where we part ways.
oh,
Yeah. You may forget who I am, but I will always remember you. Hey, we'll meet again. Someday.
oh. So Diana, who we've got in our back, is like the model before 8. Okay. Interesting. She's not like newer, she's like older. Interesting. Plot is happening, chat. Plot's doing a heckin' happen. Oh, there it is. Look on the ceiling. Fun level design fact. So few players look at the ceiling. Don't... Unless you're making, like, it to be a tricky puzzle, don't put anything on the ceiling. 7 represented the first Pragmata prototype equipped with an effective AI architecture capable of producing facial expressions closely aligned with those of Daisy at approximately 6 years of age. While unsuitable for the objectives in the intended experiments, we could not quite bring ourselves to scrap it outright. Oh no, they felt bad. They felt bad about scrapping. The data gathered so far is bound to prove some useful in some form. Accordingly, 7 has been placed in indefinite storage, awaiting a research application suited to its capabilities. Furthermore, to eliminate the possibility of residual test records producing confounding outcomes in future testing, the unit's memory was wiped. That's why Diana doesn't really know much. Interesting. We're learning so much here.
Hey, Diana, here we go. A reactor.
A reactor. Are we looking? Oh, there. Can I use these first? Oh, let me get that one first. Oh, yeah. There we go. And a little sippy of water. Oh, we have to go on we have to go on a bit of a break soon. Oh, shit.
Damn it. Walked right into their trap.
Aw, man. Where's that? Oh, there it is. Oh, goodness, they're just straight up coming towards us. Okay. Don't do that. I'm just gonna use the Charge Piercer for now. He says get fucked. We can all hear it. Oh, I have to do that. Yo, hello. Who's that? Who is that? Oh, someone subscribed. Hell yeah. For some reason, I'm not getting that alert, but hell yeah. Was that someone subscribing to the YouTube channel? I think it was. I love it when that happens. Woohoo! Don't do that. We don't like that. Boom. There we go. Alright. We're gonna go on a bit of a break. We're gonna go on a 3-minute. No.
Stay with me now.
I'm fine. Really.
No.
Hold on. We're gonna get you better.
Oh no.
Come on.
Alright, chat. We're gonna go on a 3-minute break. We're gonna go on a 3-minute break, alright? And then we're gonna continue with this, alright? Get some water, stretch, do all that lovely stuff, and I'll be about 3 minutes, alright? Alright, see you soon. pressed the button, but it didn't do anything. Hello, how's it going? Can you hear me alright? Oh, fucking hell. Alright. Alright, I hope you had some water. I hope you had some water to stretch your legs.
Got the reactor. Now it's your turn.
Oh my goodness. Alright. Time to save our child. Oh dear. You're never truly free from scuff, are you? Who broke Diana again? She's just not feeling great. She's just not doing alright. She's just not doing okay. Oh, we need to put her in here, I guess.
Yes! It's finally a positive result. This could be the key to saving Daisy. All thanks to you, 8.
Thanks for not fully breaking.
But with your help, we'll get there. I guess I will have to pull the plug on 7.
Oh no.
A pity. But it's served its purpose.
Needs of my OBS scenes.
Because I'm useless.
No!
Me in the vat.
No!
Easy now. How about
Oh.
you?
Oh, we don't put it there. Okay. Is there anything around here that we need to look at? Yo, cool graphics tablet, dude. Not relevant, not relevant. Oh, this area seems big. I feel like there's a fight in here, isn't there? My final message. Oh dear.
Come on, come on, come on.
There we go. Oh, we did like a bit of a wraparound, didn't we, to get a battery? Okay, cool. Oh, this is classic. Oh, that's a classic.
Diana.
Oh, there's the kitty cat. Oh yeah, we're nearing the end of the game, aren't we, chat? It's like that Simpsons
these your
episode, Do It
memories?
For Her.
I was
Aw.
useless. I'm useless.
No.
Diana, stop. Don't think like that. Think about what you want.
Yeah, she thinks in the third person. Don't you do that?
I want to go with you.
No! Oh shit. Oh, in she goes. Into the chute. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, that's good. Real good. Just hang in there, and we'll go anywhere you want.
It's gonna be a fight. It's gonna be a fight. It's gonna be a fight. Yeah. Oh my god. I was gonna drink my water. What the fuck is that? Oh dear.
Not now.
Oh, and we can't hack it. Oh no. Oh, that's kind of cool actually. Fuck.
This is the same freaking bot from earlier.
Oh, fucking hell. Do you mind? Do you mind? Oh god, this is gonna take ages. We can't hack them.
I can't take this thing all alone. Hell, if I'm gonna recruit.
Oh, Jesus. Come on, Diana. Roaring night shapes. It kind of is actually, isn't it? Oh. Oh dear. I wouldn't have done that if I was playing. The beans.
I feel different.
Wait, what?
Something's changed.
Oh, she's so glowy. You're gonna want to help me out here, Diana. Oh!
Deletion protocol initiate.
Deletion? Yo! Yo! She's gained the power to parry. It truly is a Souls-like. I love the way that it just dispensed beams. The machine just sort of opened up. Ka-chunk! Give her a hug. Yippee! Ah!
Nice fight, kiddo.
She went into the fucking task manager.
Thank you.
I must say, not sure if you got a fix or an upgrade.
Did I do good?
Yeah, you did great.
Hey, Hugh.
Hmm?
When that black stuff got on me, I just felt so sad and empty.
Oh.
Sad, huh? Like you picked up on her feelings or something through all that gunk?
What if Faith feels like that all the time?
Oh no.
But what she's doing, that's wrong.
Yeah, I think so too. Let's go stop her.
Yeah. Alright. Has the power of depression. Yeah. Imagine feeling sad all the time. Oh, he's not doing okay. Oh no. Oh no. No. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Yeah, we're out of here.
That's not good. That's not good. Oh dear. Diana's overdrive ability has been upgraded to deletion protocol. When activated, it opens nearby enemies, temporarily disables their movement, and deals heavy damage. Oh, cool. An actual use for it, because I always forget to turn it on. Hell yeah. It's like a stun. It's like a big stun. Because the last one was a stun, but this one's like a big stun. You know, like a big stun. Big stun. Where the fuck are we supposed to be going? So many doors. Oh, there it is. Twitch is telling me to bold you. Oh, I mean, if you do, can you... If you do, it might actually work this time, and I won't have to do it manually.
I can get rid of it now.
So if you do want to, that'll be a good experiment. Will it work? It's completely up to you. Hold LB for a charge and... Oh. Lack the point. Oh, wrong one. LB, not RB. Oh, okay. No hard feelings. I need to reload it. There you go. Hey! Ah! Ah! My weave! My weave! It is gone! My eyes! There we go. And we're back. Oh, I'm so glad that that works now. Yeah, I just straight up forgot to log in. That was the reason why. I just forgot to log in. Oh, I'm so glad that that works. Oh, I'm so glad Diana's doing it right.
A new destination
A Saiyan
has been
pod. It
identified.
does look like a Saiyan pod,
The
doesn't it?
central port is now accessible.
Central port. What's that? Oh, it's the big tower thingy. Hell yeah. Does the bald redeem imply you have a huge ponytail, or does that mean your foxtail also gets shaved? Oh, it's a giant ponytail.
Back to Earth.
It's a giant ponytail. The yellow that is It's the hair tie. It's just a big hair tie. So yeah, it's all part. Yeah. No, it's all good. I think a lot of people think it is a tail, just because of how big it is. But no, it's connected to the back of my hair.
Central terminals now loaded with shiny new stuff.
So yeah, when it goes, it all goes.
And 8's at the central port.
I wonder what it's like there.
Let's upgrade. Oh no, we've only got 3. Okay, no upgrade. Expose and heat. Heat was pretty good, wasn't it? Oh, we've got new ones. Open nodes of trajectory equally. Okay. I want to do combust, because combust seems pretty cool. What's boost mode, actually? How much shampoo do you use? I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if you can see, it's a bit of a knotted mess up there. It's a bit of a tangled mess up there. Not enough, let's say that. Open nodes turn into boost nodes. Completing how with boost nodes, amplifying hacking. No, I don't know what that means. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, if you want to get all these tangles out, that is an entire bottle's worth, innit? But it's looking a little tangled up there. Not gonna lie. I think that someone just needs to, like, dunk me in the bathtub. I ain't gonna do it myself. Oh, my tracking's gone. Huggy, you good? You good? Okay, Huggy's dead. Come on. Come here. Come on. Where did she go? Come on. Hello? Oh, she's gone. Oh, she's gone. Hold on. Let's reload that. Chat, I need to... To capture it enabled. Hello? Hey, there we go. There we go. Chat, I need a better way to track. I need a better way to track. It's not working. I need a better way to track. I'm currently tracking using my own, like, PC. Like, so my GPU's having to do, like, triple duty, right? Trying to get the stream out, trying to, like, play the game, and also this. I need a better way. If you donate to the channel, it'll go straight to making my tracking less scuffed. That's a guarantee. I need iPhone tracking. Honestly, I do. I'll get an old iPhone. I could probably get a 12 and get away with it, but yeah. Sub to the channel. That's all I gotta say. I'm gonna turn off hand tracking as well, because I don't need that extra bit of stuff going on. Anyway, where were we? Oh dear. Oh dear. We have fun, don't we? Professional full-time VTuber. I mean, professional implies I get paid. Haven't got paid. Full-time means that I do this all the time. I don't. So, you know. No more Augie partner possessing arms. Don't worry. They'll be back, probably. It's the feature, innit? I might do auto hacking, because I think we're at the point where the hacking is getting a bit... Incredible. We're getting to the point where we need that. Let's leave it there, actually. It's a bug, not a feature. Exactly.
We've procured a new stamp board.
Oh, yeah.
Have a gander.
Oh. Oh, so much jank. Tell you what I'll do, actually. First thing I will do... There's so much... We're having a great time, aren't we? Everything's falling apart. I don't know why I did that. Actually, let me take a look at Task Manager, see what it's doing. What's my memory at, chat? Oh, it's only 53%. That's fine. GPU's taking a bit of a hit, though. Yay. Yikes. I have RAM. No, I don't. I don't have RAM. I don't have RAM. I don't have RAM. No, I don't. I don't have RAM. I don't have RAM. Nothing here. Nothing. No RAM here. I actually downloaded it off the internet. You right, Diana?
If dead filament ends up on Earth, could you cleanse it or something?
Even if I tried really hard, it won't work.
No, no.
There's only so much I can do. The more living stuff dead filament eats, the bigger it gets. And Earth's
A likely story.
I figured as much. Didn't hurt to ask, though. Hey, can you cleanse plants and...
There's no RAM in bossing, say.
It won't
I like
work
that.
on them. On humans, it'd wipe out the whole infected area, not just the dead filament. And if a body gets hurt too bad, it'll die, right? But for bots, the dead filament just kind of sticks to them.
Huh. I'm sure the team here tried all kinds of tests, too.
We don't have any new outfits, do we?
Our staff
Oh no, that's the
selection
training
has
simulation. I don't want that.
improved.
We haven't had any new outfits in ages. I want some new outfits. Should we change it up? Let's put Hugh in... Should we put Hugh in the cat one again? Or the Bushido one? I love the Bushido one. Cat ears. Cat ears. I hear cat ears. Alright. I like the Kunochi. I like that one. Yeah, that was fun. I might just keep with Fluffy. Cat ears win again. Anytime. Alright, I need to fill up all these areas, don't I? I'm gonna have to run around and do a bit of an explore. I want to do that on stream, but I've literally no idea if I'll have time. We'll have to see.
Move out to the central fort and take care of it.
Let's go! Let's go! Photon blaster. Charge piercer. Actually, I might change that to the homing missiles. I found the beam is just like takes ages to set up. Freeze. Multi-hack. Expose. Let's try the combust mode. Oh yeah. Mods. Increases attack power by 15 when airborne. That's fun. Increases weapon damage by 10%, but hacking decreases. A lot of these aren't very good. Cat ears are superior to human ears in many ways. I mean, that's just true. That's just a fact. Increases hacking buildup by 15%. Oh, that's pretty good. Let's do that for... this one, I'd say. I know, it's all a bit much of a muchness. Let's go. Sentinel Port. Woohoo!
Okay.
But yeah, I'll have to do a big explore.
Do this?
Oh? This is like the last part, isn't it, chat? Oh, we're not going to be able to get to the
I
end,
wanna
but...
stop her, but I can't believe she's acting this way. We're both Pragmata, so there's gotta be a way to get along, right?
Pragmata or not, doesn't mean she'll listen to what you've got to say.
I just don't want to hurt her.
We'll see what we can do.
Diana doesn't, like, have a strop or anything like that. It's quite unrealistic. Yeah, we're not gonna be able to get to the end of this, but like, yeah.
Transport somewhere in here, right?
You told that other child to hate. Apparently it's the goop. The bad goop, like, is like made 7 feel like really bad. Basically it gave her depression. The evil black goop gave her depression, and like it's like, oh, what if 8 has it all the time? That's basically what they're saying. Choo! Oh yeah. Can I go down here? Oh, I can. Don't know if there's anything down here though.
So this is where all the dead filament's going, huh?
Oh, there's nothing here.
Damn right. Let's move.
I say we blame Bowser Jr. for it. I think we have to. I'm trying to find all the secret areas now. Is there anything here? No. In there? Nope. Moon physics. Ka-choo! Oh shit, I went into that. Enemies hit with a cleansing will take damage and be knocked back. Ooh. Oh my god, there we go.
Dang. Where did you go?
And ka-choo! Hey. What? Let me get some homing missiles in here. And ka-choo! And kablamo! Nice. Flatheads. We haven't seen the flatheads yet. Not here. We'll know the flatheads when we see them. Suddenly so EP now. Hold on a little longer, Froggo. Half an hour. Half an hour. It is quite late. If you do need to head up, Froggo, it should be absolutely fine. No, no. Froggo has a very fun sleep schedule that needs to be sorted out.
We can ride this freighter.
Oh, this freighter is gonna be filled with enemies in it. Not time zones, just university in it. University.
Got it.
Sleep schedule level university. Oh, that's the worst when you're quite far away from it, ain't it?
I wonder why 8 wants to take that stuff to the Earth.
Doesn't matter. If it gets loose,
Whoa. Oh, that's cool.
Stop. And that's why we're gonna stop her.
An hour by bus, Jesus. I was thankful that I lived quite nearby. When I went, which was a bit pointless in my last year, because we were all in lockdown, so there wasn't any point. But you know, went from living 5 minutes walking distance to almost an hour. Ugh. I mean, you just gotta go where the houses are, right?
Potential increase.
Alright, there's a flathead for you.
Move, you.
it's my turn.
Freighter's moving up.
Yay!
Splitting the hatch.
There we go. And ka-choom! Overheat. Oh! Boom! Can we get that? Hey, there you go. Yeah, a shuttle is... A shuttle is basically just like a bus that just goes from point to point. It doesn't really stop in any other places nor go in a loop. It just sort of goes from point to point. If you ever, like, go in, like,
Hey, Diana.
like in an airport, if they all put you on, like, a little tiny bus to go from the plane to the like, check-in.
Yeah,
That's like a shuttle in England.
well, whatever happens.
Yeah, it's usually the councils that do them.
Back.
Got it.
Just like the councils want to make sure students can get around. Sometimes they don't, though. Oh my god. Hello.
Stop skittering around.
Achoo!
Protocol at the ready.
There another one? Oh, got this. Yep, yeah, there's another one. Oh, there's a big boy. Hello.
Here it comes. Look out.
Hey. Gotta try and get this guy for. Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? Oh goodness, I did not see you. Ow! Dude, what the hell? Oh dear. Ow, ow, I just walked right into that. Oh god, I what am I doing? Unigang. Stress gang. Where are you? There you are. Oh, I'm getting so good at that chat. Alright, Diana. It's moving around.
Jump you.
It's my turn.
And there you go.
You're here.
It's free for students and staff, yeah.
Let's get to the.
That's pretty bad. That's not bad, actually. It's one of those things where if they stop doing that, that would be actually hell. Like, students would be grade F fucked. Oh, I want to find that. I want to get there. I want to get there. How do I get there, chat? How do I get there? How do I get there? I want to get there. Hello. Notice for Earth cargo and returnees. Cargoes bound for Earth must undergo inspection and be delivered to the designated warehouse for permit attached. Additionally, anyone returning to Earth must receive vital checks and send a report for meeting the shuttle crew.
So 8 is planning to send dead filament to Earth as shuttle cargo.
She's trying to use
Oh, that
transport?
sucks.
Yeah, and if she succeeds,
That really sucks.
we're out of a ride.
I want to get in there. Oh.
Be careful. It's infected with dead
Oh,
elements.
God.
This crap again.
Oh, Jesus. Can you not? Wait, why am I down here? I was not down here before. Oh, I need to use cleanse on it.
Walker's acting weird.
Hold on a second. Hold on, lad. I want to get up there first. Hold on a second. Hold on. Hold on a second. There we go. I don't want to do that. Hello, hello. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Hope you're doing alright. Happy Thursday. Thursday night. Feeling bright? Well, I'm not feeling bright. I'm a bit sleepy, but you know how we go. A little parasol. Oh my goodness. This waterside umbrella offers protection from the burning summer sun. Oh. Hell yeah. Oh my god. That is so mean. That is so mean of it.
Get ready.
Oh, goodness me. Oh, failing that. Hey! There we go. And one more should do the trick.
Be careful.
Right on.
Come on. Oh, damn it. Oh, there we go. There we go. Out of just sheer hatred. Yeah. No doubt. Knowing this game, they probably would. Where did they go? Hello? Hello? Oh my god, did they despawn? Oh hell yeah, they despawned! That's what we love to see! No, I don't want that. That's really funny. They just straight up wiped from existence. Hey, I want to avoid all that. What's down here? Shotgun? Oh, oh my god, no, 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 no. Oh, this fucking thing. Oh, I hate this. I hate this. Ah, come on! Give me my gun. Gun, please. I don't like how silent it is. Oh, I can't get that one. Ugh. Don't do that. Please. Alright, there we go. Ugh. Hate that thing. Hate that thing so much. There's so many ambushes here. I don't like them. They're mean and evil. What's that? Untapped potential. For 15 seconds, hacking node usage increases attack power by 10%. Whoa. Okay.
With hacking notes, Hugh.
Thanks, Diana. Okay, we came from up there. Oh, there's stuff down here. Cool. A little bit of a freebie. Sometimes you gotta have them. Hey! Where the hell am I supposed to be going? Up there? Yeah, that way. Okay. Do I have to go down? No. That seems like a bit of a jump, don't you think? Oh well. Nope, that didn't work. Huh. That didn't work. Oh, jeez. Really brings down your health. Alright, where do I go? My cat's out loafing on your back. Oh. I love you find that really annoying where they're like, oh no, there's the enemy. There's the enemy. There's the guy, he didn't disappear, he's just...
We need to cleanse them. Charging!
Come on. Ooh-hee! There we go. I genuinely thought we just despawned them. Oh shoot, and there's more. Whoa, there's more. Hello, 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 hello. Cleanse. Kill. Please. There we go. And good. Hey. Cleanse. We got a process here. Ooh, ooh, hell yeah. My hacking is so good now. My hacking is so cool. I'm the best, chat. I'm the best. And don't you forget it. Oh, let's open up that panel. Okay, cool.
There.
Hell yeah. Pro hacker Augie. I'm a little hacker. Got my hacking glasses on. Oh, wait. I got my hacking glasses on, chat. There you go. Ain't nothing get past me. Clickety, 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 clap. I didn't know I could do. Yeah, I got a glasses toggle. I might make it a redeem because I always forget. I always forget I've got that toggle on. Oh, homing missiles every time, please. Oh, putting my hands up. Should make them spinny? Oh, I should do. That might actually be fun. Oh dear, what have I entered into?
Getting close.
Okay, cleanse that one.
That water's gonna burn.
Yay! Cleanse that one. I have my locked-in glasses. Yeah, should I put these on whenever I get, like... Whenever I'm locked in... Oh, Jesus, I did not see you there. I'm so sorry, mate. Ow! Dude! I do not respect that. Oh, fuck.
Ooh, deletion protocol.
I'm just gonna trick. I'm just gonna do that. I'm just gonna do that. Let's just get that sorted. And there we go. I'm just gonna do that. These robots are not nice. If there's one thing we can say, these robots are not very nice. Ow! What the fuck was that? Oh my god, what is... Oh, that's a baby. Oh, that's a Oh, I died. I didn't see that at all. I didn't see that at all. Oh my god. Well, there we go. Maybe we could use a drain node. Okay.
It's gonna go great next time.
Yeah, it'll be great. Thanks, Diana.
Just kept on coming. I thought they'd never end.
Let's give him a present. You want a parasol? Ah, it's the first part of the beach. Pragmata is full of good babies and bad babies. And you need to discern which ones they are super fucking quick.
With one hand.
A beach umbrella. Oh, there's hot dogs. Oh my god, you got hot dogs and everything. I'm gonna be honest, chat. I think I might just hang around with Diana until the end of the stream. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do all that combat. We got a quarter of an hour anyway.
A parasol is basically a roof, but underneath it feels like my own little
Anime beach episode.
I know what you mean. It's like a cozy home with no walls.
right. If you get tired, you can rest under the parasol too.
Thanks. I'll bring a cooler packed with some drinks when I do.
So cute. So cute. So cute. So cute. So cute. So cute.
Remember our chat about Pragmata and humans being different?
Yeah?
I've been mulling it over. And I think Pragmata got souls too.
I
Aw.
do?
Yeah. The souls and the choices you make for yourself.
That's so
Don't forget that,
cute.
okay?
I won't, Q. Thanks.
Aww. I love that. I really like that.
You're a really good person.
Thanks. But that was sudden.
Because of you, I've had so much fun and learned new things.
Really?
Aww.
I barely did anything though.
Aww. Should we play some hide and seek? Let's play some hide and seek.
Oh, I just thought of the perfect hiding place. You're never gonna find me. I'm ready.
Rejuvenating for the soul, chat. Rejuvenating for the soul. Where did she go? Oh, there she is. The speed.
You're so good at
It's
this.
gonna be so sad when this game ends. I know, I know. If we finish this in the next stream, whenever that'll be, I'm gonna be so sad.
You won't find me this
Partially because of the game, partially because I have no fucking clue what I'm gonna play after this. There's been some suggestions in the Discord. I'll have a look. Right, where are you? Where are you?
Find me, but I kinda don't.
She's around here somewhere. Oh, she's back over the TV carrier again.
Wow.
There we go.
You're so good at this.
Can always go for 100%. A DK64 for the meme.
Super fun.
Not gonna lie, I have not played Banjo-Kazooie. I've never played
I thought
Banjo-Kazooie.
it'd never end. Oh,
That might be fun.
the perfect hiding place. You're never gonna
I'd
find
love to
me.
do that as a bit of a marathon, though. If I have a weekend where I've got nothing going on, I'd like to play a game like that. For these, I'd like to just chip away slowly at something, you know what I mean?
What's taking so long?
It's around here somewhere, isn't it? Is she here?
Can you find me?
Oh, I'm nowhere close, chat. Where is she? Back here? Oh, I might lose this, chat.
What's taking so long?
Oh, there she is.
Wow! You're so good at this. Aw, I was sure you wouldn't find me there.
But what's that? Oh, it's all the mini cabin figures we've got. I actually haven't seen one in ages. They're really hard to find now. I'm just not... I need to, like, keep my eyes open a bit more to find them, don't I? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what I play. On my list is, like, games like, oh, what have I got on my list? I've got, like, games that you could just sort of pick away at. Like, I got, like, Minecraft and things like that. Things that I could just do, like, and have it, like, a chill time. Less story focused like this. That being said, though, I really want to, play Final Fantasy 14. Discord plug! Exclamation mark. I hear the story in 14 is interesting, but, like, it's a bit of a long game, you know, it's an MMO. It might be fun to, like, play that. Suggest things I can do. Oh yeah, if you have an idea for something that you'd like me to play. What's up?
Those bots just kept on coming. I thought they'd never end.
Looks like 8 and Edith
Yeah.
are dead set on stopping us.
Adult language?
The flood is spreading.
Why, in the Discord server or in Final Fantasy 14?
Does that mean more are coming?
Probably. But hey, with the new and improved you and me here, we've got this. What do you
Aw.
say?
Yeah.
That's so cute. In 14. Oh, goodness me, I did not know that. Oh, I don't know if I can play it if it's got adult language in it. I'm just a small fox. I can't be doing with that. I can't be doing all of that fucking bad language, you know? Can't be doing with that. Oh dear. Yeah, I've got some friends who've been playing 14, and I've been kind of inspired. So I might do that. I might do it. I don't know. I'll have to see. Favorite Final Fantasy, chat. What's your favorite Final Fantasy? Goodness me. Don't say that with a mouthful of marshmallows. Mine's a fun one. I don't know many who share my favorite one. Or is she gonna go in the tent? Where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna go? Hell yeah. I'm gonna say it. My favorite Final Fantasy is 15. It's a mess. It's an absolute jank. But like, if you say you're a video Final Fantasy of the internet all over you, we're in friends here. We're all friends here. And I've just said my favorite one is 15, so how bad can it be? 15 is very jank, and like all the things it could have been, it kind of doesn't meet. Like, it does not meet its expectations at all. Do you think the whole series is made absolutely fine? That's absolutely fine. I think like even the greatest ones, I think, have to be an acquired taste. So no, I totally get you. Never played a Final Fantasy game. One of these days, chat, I will play 15 on stream. And that day, that will be a marathon. Okay, that is actually one of my ideas. I want to do a long game marathon for charity, and I want to play 15 beginning to end with as little breaks as possible. We'll have breaks in because it's a fucking long game, and I don't want to die. But that is one of my plans. How long is it? Oh, it's like, how long is it? How long to beat? How long to beat? How long to beat? Final Fantasy XV. 28 hours for the main story. It's technically 27.5 for the Royal Edition, which is what we'll be playing. I want to. It's one of my. I could literally play this game. I've played it 3 times already, and I fucking enjoy it. I really fucking love it. We'll have to. It's gonna be a marathon, and it will be for charity, because the only way I'm gonna do it is if I'm helping a cause. Engulfed in light. That's not 15. That's 14, 12. I think that's one of those. But yeah, that's gonna be future though. That's gonna be way off in the future. That's gonna be way off in the future. God, it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good. 15's the one with the boy band on the road, like they're road tripping, and there's 4 of them, and they're all great, and I love them all dearly. That's my favorite one. Oh dear. Oh, I haven't seen all the art. Oh my goodness me, that's so cute. Golden Sun? I've never played Golden Sun, I'm gonna be honest with you. I know I play the music, but that's because I fucking love the music, but I've never played it, actually. If I play Golden Sun, you won't judge me for how bad I am at it, will you? Nah, you'll be fine. It's all good, it's all good. There's like a bunch of them, so I not Golden Sun, Final Fantasies. There's like a bunch of Final Fantasies. I don't expect someone to know every single one of them. Especially if you think it's mid. That's so cute. Don't do that with actual fire, though. That would be really bad, Diana. Oh, man. I'll tell you what, chat. We got 10 minutes left. I might call it there. I think we've had our fill. I think we've had our fill of Pragmata. Don't you think so? That's what I think. Let's go back to my PLV and we'll wrap up here, shall we? This has been a really chill stream today, isn't it? This has been really nice. I really appreciate it. I appreciate y'all being here. Yeah, we'll let Froggo have some sleep. Please go to sleep, Froggo. Please do. Catch up on those Z's. Absolute Agima. But yeah, I have no idea what my schedule will look like, next week, chat. I have no idea. We're just gonna take it how it comes by, and I will post a schedule on Monday. Yeah, I'll post a schedule on Monday. Is anybody playing? Oh, Lust is playing some Tomodachi Life. Shall we go over there? Tinker with some command stuff. Alright. Well, as long as you know when to, as long as you know when to wrap it up, that's all alright. But yeah, I'll probably produce some more Open Freddy programming. I'll play some more Pragmata. It might look, the schedule might look the same as this week, I'm gonna be honest. I think I found a good rhythm. Maybe not the days, but we'll have a look. But yeah, thank y'all ever so much for coming. I really appreciate it. I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your week, actually, if I don't talk to you then. Have a great weekend. Make sure to rest. Make sure to do all the things you need to do to make yourselves feel rested and rejuvenated. And yeah, let us raid. Have a great sleep. Yeah. Oh my god, Mies have just gotten married in Lost Girls. Alright, tell you what, let's go. Let's do a raid, shall we? Have a good night, yawn. Yawn! Alright, chat. Boom. I'm getting so good at that. I'm getting so good at raiding. Have a great rest of your day. Yeah! Thank you, Sari. I really appreciate that. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Do what Sari says. Go and stay hydrated, take care of yourselves, and we'll head off over to Lost now, alright? Alright, everyone. I'll speak to you later, okay? Bye.
thanks for the cheese board. Welcome on in, Raiders. My name is
Alright.
Lost. I'm a British kid today. Doesn't know where
Now
she is or
go
where she's
this
going.
way.
And today we're playing some Tamagotchi Live. We've just watched Gavin's me and Nova's me get married, and Gavin and Nova right here in the stream with me.
What are the odds of me
We're
having to be
here.
here? What just
I
happened?
know.
What the
They
hell?
did. They're